Hey, Mama, welcome to the Positivity in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I have had some experiences lately that I feel have been valuable in my life, and I want to share them with you. And it's about looking out for yourself. Now, the ways that I am going to share are very simple ways that I have looked out for myself the last little bit and been very grateful for. But I feel like it's good to do these types of things because then you're like, yes, I'm looking out for myself. I was prepared. And that builds confidence and that builds positivity when we take time to do some simple things to look out for ourselves. It's not selfish, and as I relate these stories, you will see how it's simple. But it's the simple things that make the biggest difference in your life and in your motherhood. Thanks for joining. Hi, I'm Jocelyn, host of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast. I help pregnant women and mothers to find positivity in their season of life through changing their thoughts to work for them and not against them. I help mothers find the small, doable steps in thought and action without making drastic changes to their everyday mom life. And I can help you. Thanks for joining. All right, so I'm going to relate 3 simple stories of how I looked out for myself. And at the end, I have some encouragement for if you are feeling lonely in motherhood. Because I know that motherhood can feel very lonely, especially in our modern times and with social media and kind of the way lives are. Things are a little different. So we'll get to that at the end. So the other day I was driving in the car. Like it was one of those, I kind of save up my car days to where I try and get all my errands done in one day so that I don't have to have it throughout the week. I just would rather do it all in one day and instead of having to spread it out over every day and have something or somewhere to go every day. So for me, it has just made sense, and I have liked that. So that does make for long days, though. Often on my errand days, I am out almost all day. And this particular day, I got looking at myself in the car mirror for a second because I was waiting for my kids to put on their seatbelts or something. And I noticed that my eyebrow looked weird. It had a hole in it. Now, I fill in my eyebrows with pencils so they look a little bit fuller and better. And it was like it had been worn away. So there was a hole there that had been worn away in my makeup, and it looked weird. Like, especially if you look straight at it. Now, I know most people maybe wouldn't have noticed, but I definitely noticed. And it was going to be one of those things, like when you notice it and it's on your mind, like you start thinking about it all the time, and it kind of affects the way you interact with people when you feel self-conscious about something that's wrong with your makeup. But I didn't have my eyebrow pencil with me. But then a thought came to me, maybe your purse has an eyebrow pencil, because in the past I have put my extra really little eyebrow pencils in there that I was kind of done using in the bathroom but could still have some life in it. And so I decided to check. And lo and behold, my eyebrow pencil, my little stubby eyebrow pencil was in my purse, and it was even sharpened. And I felt such deep gratitude that I had looked out for myself in that instance, and that I had put that in like months and months ago, forgot about it, but then it was there to my rescue. It was really a nice confidence booster, not just for that day because I got to fill that hole in my eyebrow back in, but I looked out for myself in that little instance. Okay, story number 2. I signed up to bake some pies for a bake sale. And they had requested on the sheet that the pies needed to be made in like aluminum pie pans. So like pie pans that wouldn't need to be returned back to me, that could just be disposable. And I had looked where I thought I had used to keep the pie pans, and they were not there. And I had just gone on a trip, which I am excited. I'll talk about that trip probably next week. It was so good. But anyways, we had got back from the trip, and I was trying to get things done, like unloaded from the trip, and I really, really did not want to run into the store. And I vaguely had remembered in my mind, like, relocating the pie pans. And I couldn't remember if I had pie pans or if I only had, like, the bigger square or rectangle pie pans that are the aluminum type. And so I just started thinking, and I was like, I even said a prayer, like, Heavenly Father, I believe I have these pie pans. Please help me to remember where I would have put them. And 3 things came into my mind, 3 spots. And I checked the first one. It was not there. I checked the second one, and I was so ecstatic because there were 6 pie pans in this cupboard that I only look in like twice a year. And it was just another confidence booster. Like, yes, I looked out for myself. Not only was that a confidence booster, but that was also evidence of the power of prayer. Heavenly Father helped those things come to mind. And I feel like that's part of finding positivity in our lives, is using God to help us in these endeavors, however small they are. Even if it's just as simple as finding an aluminum pie pan for baking a pie for this bake sale. It is amazing, and He is there for you. And as you find little evidences like that, you will be able to notice even more and more ways that His hand is in your life, and it is amazing. So that was the second story. The third story is my husband and I have been in charge of a float, like a parade float, where you decorate a trailer with pedal paper and all of the stuff, and it has been quite the undertaking. I'll probably do another podcast episode on that in the future and what I've learned from doing projects. Nonetheless, at this moment when we were doing a project, I was trying to remove staples out of old board because we wanted to reuse the board instead of having to buy board to keep the budget down. And so I was using a flathead screwdriver, and unfortunately, I had left my other thumb in the way of that flathead screwdriver thing. And I stabbed myself with it. Now, it was really deep. Like, it hurt really bad. It started bleeding. It looked gross. We were not home. We were at my husband's shop, and I asked him, I'm like, do you have a Band-Aid or some I really wanted to put Neosporin on it to make sure that we could clean it out. Well, I cleaned it first, and then I wanted Neosporin to draw out infection in case there was any infection in there, and then a Band-Aid because it was bleeding, and it was right on my thumb, which I needed to use. And he didn't have one in his whole shop. That's still on my list of things to do, is to get him a first aid kit. And ironically, my van, which does have a first aid kit in the van, was not there. I had taken his car, and we had his truck there, and my van was at home. And so I was frantically looking for a Band-Aid and some Neosporin, and the thought came to me, check your purse. And so I checked my purse, and in this little mini thing that I had picked up from some type of free giveaway was a little pouch of Band-Aids that had samples of Neosporin in it that I had stuck in my purse. And I was able to clean my wound, put the Neosporin on it, and wrapped the Band-Aid up. And it was just like, oh, I'm so glad that that was there. Otherwise, I might have had to run into town or run home to get a Band-Aid, wasting precious time that we had to work on this float. And it was just really gratifying that in all of these moments, my past self had done something for my future self. So at this present moment, in the future will be your past self. How can you set this present moment up for your future self? What can you do? Do you need to put some Band-Aids in your purse? In motherhood, often it was preparing with diapers, wipes, and snacks if you're going to be gone for a long time. Having the diaper bag ready, but not just ready, loaded with snacks, or extra formula if it's running low. Simple things like that help you to feel better about life, to feel better about yourself and your motherhood. So do a couple of those little things that your future self will thank you for, because this is a way we can help build positivity in our lives. And now I have to tell you that there have been many instances where I did not have what I needed. And it did cause problems, and I had to do something different because I didn't have it. And don't beat yourself up when those happen. Use it as a learning experience. Like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do that before we left? It would have been so nice if I would have brought the water bottle instead of having the kids cry about water. Use it as a learning experience and know that next time you're going to get the water and you're going to build up the evidences that you're doing things for your life that are blessing you and your motherhood. Here at the end of this podcast, I wanted to give some encouragement if you are feeling lonely and if this is tough for you. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like to raise our family in families like they did in Indian tribes, or kind of where they all lived very close together, where the mothers and the daughters and the in-laws and the aunts, everybody was just closer together. And it was easier to have some adult conversation because you all basically lived with each other or very, very close to each other. In modern times, that is not the case, and it can lead to isolation and loneliness, especially when you live far away from family or close friends. And it's hard to combat that, especially with social media. I feel like social media can actually make that worse and make us feel worse about ourselves because we see everybody else doing the things that we wish we were doing. So my first tip is to combat loneliness is to get off of social media. Don't be on there. Don't be comparing yourself. And the second tip is to try and push your limits. That means push yourself out of your comfort zone to get to know someone. Reach out and talk to someone at the library who also has kids, or to someone at the park. Reach out to someone in your church or in your church group and ask them to get together with you and do a small play date. They don't have to be big or extravagant, but push yourself, because as you push yourself, that is what will help you to make more friends, which can help combat loneliness. Unfortunately, it does take us doing a lot of that work. People don't often come to us unless they're very extroverted and that's their personality. But in my experience, it has been more, I have to get myself out of the shell. I have to say yes when people do ask me, but I also have to, more frequently than not, be the one to ask. Be brave, mama. Be the one to ask. You can do this. I am cheering for you. Until next time. Thank you for being a part of the Positive in Pregnancy and Motherhood podcast, for listening, for sharing, and most of all, for applying these tools into your own life to improve your own happiness so that you can find your own better thoughts for a better you in a positive pregnancy, in losing that stubborn baby weight, and becoming the mom you desire to be through taking small steps in thought and action to reach your goals. If you are a mother who has an inner desire to enjoy motherhood and pregnancy better, but you are having difficulty figuring it out, I can help you. I can help you find the small, doable steps without drastic changes to your everyday mom life. Reach out, let's connect, and let's see you move forward. My name is Jocelyn, and I thank you for listening. Until next time. Flicker's Candle Company is my new company, and not really mine. My sister started it. I acquired it from her. And I sell wax melts, candles, and room sprays. I even have a bunch of warmers on my site. If you enjoy having a home that smells good with soy wax melts that are eco-friendly and better, don't have the normal candle toxins, look into Flicker's Candle Co., which will be the top link in the show notes. Thank you for supporting. I don't do any paid advertising, so if you want to support me, purchasing this product is a great way to do that. Until next time.